Hello, this is my mage guide for chapter 1. Everything you see in this video is going to be chapter 1 or the Warring States map between levels 20 to 50. At this stage, our power is going to be coming from spell unlocks, leveling up with our points in magic, our titles, and just our overall strategy, like taking advantage of the enemy's elemental weaknesses and making sure we use confusion. There aren't any mage armor sets in this chapter, so I wouldn't worry much about what armor you wear for now. You won't see any mage armor sets until you get into chapter 2. So, like Nioh 1 and Nioh 2, our goal as mages is to just make it out of chapter 1. Once we get into chapter 2, we'll be able to start building our mage around some armor sets. With that in mind, I first want to show you where to find the rest of your offensive elemental spells in chapter 1 that we couldn't yet access back in the demo. Starting with the Sloth Talisman. You find the Sloth Talisman in Lake Hamana. As soon as you walk into this area, you'll see Daidarabochi in the background. The goal is basically to make it through this region and ultimately pacify him. Once you do, he'll drop his soul core, and his soul core is what gives you the Sloth Talisman. Next up is the Lightning Shikigami. You find that up here in the Nioh region. So just follow this road all the way north to the Nioh region, and there's going to be a lesser crucible there. You just run through this gate. There'll be a Biwa Boku Boku here. He'll summon a revenant here, you kill it, turn the corner, and then you can just shoot the Biwa Boku Boku to kill him and get his soul core, which has Lightning Shikigami. Next up is the Wind Familiar Talisman. Just come to the Maisaka region, Maisaka Junction Shrine, and just turn and run east. Just follow this road directly east. You'll see some trees on your right hand side. Just jump into them and you'll fight the Kamaitachi boss. It's the same boss from Nioh 2. So you beat him and he gives you the Wind Familiar Talisman. For the Ki Burst Talisman, just run slightly north from Hamamatsu Castle into Hamamatsu Hill. And literally the first enemy that you encounter will be one that can drop the Ki Burst Talisman in his soul core. Next is the Fire Shot Talisman. So from the Tenryu River, just run north into Futamata Road. You're going to run north and just follow this path straight to a lesser crucible there. In that lesser crucible, there's going to be a bunch of fire yokai that spawn Ippon Datara and a Wheel Monk. The Wheel Monk is the one you're looking out for. His soul core drops the Fire Shot Talisman. I did this lesser crucible back when I was around level 35, so you can do this pretty early on and get the Fire Shot Talisman. Next up is the Lightning Familiar. This is in Tenryu River. So just teleport to this shrine here and you'll just run north around these rocks. And I think the way that you get this early is a bug or a glitch, so I'm not sure if it's going to get patched out of the game or not. But there's basically two ways that I know of you can jump up there. You're trying to get on top of this rock here, and you're basically jumping up from either this side or let me show you the other side. This is the other spot that you can jump from. You're trying to jump onto those rocks there, and there's a Crucible Wraith up there that you fight, and his soul core drops the Lightning Familiar Talisman. But just in case this gets patched out of the game, I'm going to show you the legitimate way to get up there as well. You'll have to come back a bit later if you do it legitimately, but you need to be able to access this Spirit Vein. The last soul core that I want to recommend that you get is to kill a Blood Edge demon for its soul core. You can track down a Blood Edge demon by killing revenants and just following the red orbs that fly out of the revenants. You follow them until you get to the Blood Edge Demon. And the reason you want this soul core is because in the yen position, it's a really strong elemental summon, but more importantly, it gives us 5.5% elemental damage, so it makes all of our spells just hit a little bit harder. This is Mikatagahara. When you first get here, this door's going to be blocked off with a bunch of rubbish, but after you advance the story enough, you'll be able to get through this door. As soon as you can, you do not want to miss the Sudama here. This Sudama in particular is special because it's the only one that I've found in Chapter 1 that sells Sacred Brushes. Sacred Brushes restore about 30% of your Omeo magic charges that you've used up. Just follow this path that I'm showing you here. There's a little jump off right when we exit this tunnel. When you see these trees on your left, that's the jump off. You're going to drop down right after the trees. There'll be a spirit vein that you can use, and that spirit vein takes you to the Sudama. Once you get to the Sudama, you just have to buy what he has. He has a sacred brush as the first item. He only sells 3 of these sacred brushes ever, so use them wisely. Save them for a tough boss fight or something like that, because they're the only ones that you'll get in Chapter 1. Once you make it out of Chapter 1, you can buy these at will from a different vendor. Soul cores from certain types of yokai can give higher amounts of spell charges. I'm going to show you an example using the Bakegane, which is the crab. He only gives 6 water shot talisman. And if I go up to the Lesser Umibozu, he actually gives 12 water shot talismans. So the Lesser Umibozu is just a better soul core for water shot talisman. And it's like that for a lot of the others as well. Like you'll see the Wheel Monk has 6 fire shot talismans. So there's going to be another fire yokai out there that can give you 12. Also, pay attention to the enhancement bonus here. The level of the soul core affects the attack strength and defense buff that you get from the enhancement bonus here. Watch as the level goes up. This is level 6, level 28 now, and then this one is a level 31. Notice how the enhancement bonus increases each time. Also, the rarity of the soul core affects how many stat bonuses you get. Notice the white, you have 1 stat bonus. When it's yellow rarity, you get 2. I imagine when there's blue rarity, you'll get 3 stat bonuses, and purple, you'll get 4 stat bonuses. The level and the rarity only matter though if you're using the yokai soul core as a summon in the yen position. A lot of the enemies around Chapter 1, the water-based enemies, are going to be weak to lightning, even some bosses like Hinoenma. The only exception to the water-based enemies being weak to lightning would be Nureona, who's the snake woman, and Lesser Umibozu, who is that blob that gives you the 12 water shot talismans. Nureona is weak to wind, and Lesser Umibozu is actually weak to fire. But with the exception of those 2, every other water-based enemy that you see in Chapter 1, if it looks wet, you can shock it for extra damage. The humanoid enemies that you see around the chapter, they're element neutral, so just shoot them with whatever spell you want to as long as it kills them. When you get to crucibles usually have fire yokai, so whenever you know you're going to a crucible, just bring some water shots with you, some water spells, water shot, water familiar, and you can hit their weaknesses as well. Now what I'm doing right now, this rapid casting, I call this chain casting. You can do this by holding any movement direction on L3 while you're casting spells, and it lets you skip the startup animation. For bosses, I like to focus on the wind and lightning elements first. Bluster from the wind element reduces the boss's ki regeneration, and lightning slows the boss. Lightning also stacks with the Sloth talisman in case you're using that to further slow the boss. Once confusion kicks in from both lightning and wind, you can just start nuking the boss with whatever your strongest spell is. In this case, it was Thunderstorm Shot for me at this point in the game. That's the basic strategy. For human bosses in particular, I like to use the Ki Burst talisman as well. Human bosses can be kind of annoying since they can block, unlike yokai bosses. I'm going to show you an example of the Ki Burst talisman in action here in this fight. But as soon as the human boss blocks, just use Ki Burst and it knocks off about 25% of their ki. You do that like 2 or 3 times, it completely breaks their ki. You get to like do a command grab on them and then just nuke a couple of spells on them while they try to recover. This is how a lot of your Chapter 1 boss fights are going to look at this level. We have enough magic to basically burn a boss down from 60% HP before we run out. The key is keeping confusion up and cycling through elements. Confusion lasts about 5 seconds per element, so reapplying a new element is going to reset the confusion timer. Keeping confusion up on the boss for 10 to 15 seconds at a time by cycling elements is going to be a key part of keeping your damage up against these bosses. That's all for my Chapter 1 Mage Guide. Once we hit Chapter 2, we'll be able to get some actual mage armor sets and we'll have ways to sustain our spell casting. So see you next week for Chapter 2, where I'll be going over new enemy types in Chapter 2, their elemental weaknesses and resistances, as well as new spell locations, and finally the mage armor sets and how to find them.
You told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.